The gunshot hit me at 3:42 a.m. I went down hard, shoulder first, then knees, then face against cold tile. The pain came after, sharp, hot, and spreading fast. Active shooter, West Wing. All personnel evacuate. Footsteps pounded past my head. I tried to look up, tried to call out, but blood filled my mouth. Copper taste, wrong. Get the VIPs out first, someone shouted near the nurse's station. Mr. Hand's family is on 3. Move them now. More running. The emergency lights kicked on, bathing everything in red. I pressed my right hand against the floor, trying to push up. My left arm dangled useless. Blood poured from the hole in my shoulder, hot and fast, pooling beneath me. Sir, please, this way. A security guard's voice, close, maybe 3 feet away. I opened my mouth. Help! He ran past me, didn't even look down. We need to secure the donor wing. Another voice, administration. Get Dr. Martinez and his team out through the garage. What about the ER staff? They can handle themselves. Move! I couldn't handle myself. I was bleeding out on their floor. A nurse I didn't recognize stumbled past, her scrubs torn. She looked right at me. Our eyes met. She kept running. Please, I choked out. The doors hissed open and shut, open and shut. Each time, more people disappeared. Each time, the ER got quieter. My vision started to blur, gray creeping in from the edges. I dug my nails into the tile, trying to stay conscious, trying to stay here. The suppressant patch on my hip burned, soaked through with blood probably. 3 years I'd worn those things, every single day. Keeping my scent buried, keeping questions away, keeping my life separate and safe and mine. Look where that got me, abandoned, dying alone on a floor I'd mopped last Tuesday. Is anyone still in there? A voice from the hallway, distant. Checked already, it's clear. Clear. Right, because I didn't count. My hand moved on its own, fingers brushing the collar of my scrubs. Beneath the fabric, the mark pulsed. Faint, hidden, the way I'd kept it for 3 years. No one knew. No one could know. I made sure of that. The cold settled in deep, not from the air, from the inside out, from bleeding too much, too fast, from my body starting to shut down because no one was coming back. Time stopped making sense. Seconds felt like hours, or maybe hours felt like seconds. I couldn't tell anymore. Then, voices. Wait, did we check the ER? Jenkins said it was clear. I'm checking anyway. Footsteps. Running toward me this time, not away. Oh God, there's someone. Johan. Dr. Kapoor. Trauma. I'd worked with her for 2 years. She dropped to her knees beside me, hands already moving, checking my pulse, assessing the wound. He's barely breathing. Get me a gurney now. She pressed hard against my shoulder. I tried not to scream. Stay with me, Johan. Stay with me. I wanted to tell her I was trying, that I'd been trying this whole time, but my mouth wouldn't work. Gurney's here. They lifted me. The ceiling spun. Lights too bright. I closed my eyes. Metal beneath me. Wheels rattling. Voices shouting medical jargon I usually understood, but couldn't process now. Scissors! Dr. Kapoor snapped. Cold metal against my skin. They were cutting my scrubs away. Standard. I'd done this 100 times to patients. Fabric tore. Ooh, air hit my chest, my neck. Well, then, silence. Complete, horrible silence. Is that? Dr. Kapoor's voice changed. Sharp, shocked. What is that? The resident. Young guy. Daniels, maybe. A bonding mark. Dr. Kapoor barely whispered it. But he's not. I mean, he never said, look at his hand. Someone grabbed my left hand. I felt them freeze. There's a ring. Let me see. Oh my God. What? What is it? The engraving. It says, Dr. Kapoor's voice cracked. It says Chae. The room exploded. Chae? As in, no way. Check it again. I can read, Daniels. It says Chae. We need to call someone. We need to. Who left him? Dr. Kapoor's voice cut through the panic. Cold, furious. Who the hell evacuated and left him bleeding on the floor? No one answered. He's married to the Chae twins and someone left him to die in our ER. Her hands were shaking now. I could feel it. Get administration down here now. And someone call. Call who? Them. Yes, them. Before they find out another way. Footsteps scattered, running again. This time from fear, not gunfire. I tried to open my eyes, managed it for half a second. Dr. Kapoor's face swam above me, pale and terrified. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. We didn't know. We should have checked. We should have. My eyes closed, but I felt it. The shift in the air. The temperature drop that had nothing to do with the AC. A scent. Cedar. Smoke. Winter. Cutting through everything. Through blood and antiseptic and fear. Growing stronger. Getting closer. Oh no. Oh God, no. Not here. Not now. Not like this. Someone's coming, Daniel said. Gosh, I hear. The ER doors slammed open. Silence fell like a guillotine. And the last thing I heard before everything went black was Dr. Kapoor's voice, small and broken. Mr. Chae. I woke to screaming. Not mine. Someone else's. A man. Voice cracking with terror, begging for something I couldn't make out through the ringing in my ears. Then, silence. Sharp and sudden, like someone had cut the sound. My eyes wouldn't open. Too heavy. Everything felt heavy, but I could hear, God, I could hear everything. Next, Taejun's voice, cold, flat. The tone he used when someone was already dead. They just didn't know it yet. I knew that voice. I'd heard it exactly 3 times in 3 years. Once when we signed the papers, once on our wedding night, once when I told him I wanted to keep working, keep my life separate, keep us hidden. He'd agreed. They both had. So why was he here? Please, you have to understand, we were following protocol. A different voice. Older. Administrator, maybe. We didn't know who he was. If we had known, that's the problem. Seungho this time. Quieter than his twin, but somehow worse. You should have saved him anyway. A sound. Wet. Heavy. Someone hitting the floor. I forced my eyes open. White ceiling. Too bright. Medical equipment beeping steady next to me. IV in my arm. Bandages tight around my shoulder. Not the ER private room. How long had I been out? The door was closed, but I could still hear voices outside. Muffled now, but urgent. Frantic. The footage shows 18 staff members in the ER during the attack. A new voice. Clipped. Professional. 12 evacuated without checking the floor. Do you want names or just the security personnel? All of them. Taejun. Footage. They were watching footage. Oh God. The security cameras. Rewind that. There. Seungho. That guard. He looked right at him. Silence. Well, then Taejun. He saw him bleeding and kept running. His name is Officer Dale Jenkins, the professional voice said. On duty for 6 years. Clean record. Had a clean record, Seungho corrected. Find him. Sir, he's already in holding room 2. Good. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving away from my door towards something I didn't want to imagine. I tried to sit up. Pain exploded through my shoulder. I bit down on a gasp, but it escaped anyway. The door opened. Both of them. Together. Like they'd heard me through solid walls. Taejun reached me first. His hand pressed against my uninjured shoulder, firm but not rough, pushing me back down onto the bed. Don't move. I met his eyes. Dark, unreadable. But his hand was shaking. Just slightly. Just enough. Seungho appeared on my other side, already checking the IV line, the bandages, on the monitors. His jaw was tight. A muscle tick there. The only sign he was barely holding something back. They were both still in street clothes. Black suits. Expensive. Taejun's jacket had a dark stain near the collar. My blood. From when they'd first arrived, probably. When they'd found me. The scent hit me then. Cedar and smoke and winter, sharp and overwhelming, cutting through the antiseptic and medication. My suppressant patch was gone. Peeled off during surgery, probably. Nothing between me and them now. My body reacted. Instant. Undeniable. Heat pooling low in my stomach. Pulse jumping. Skin too tight. No. Not here. Not now. Seungho's eyes flicked to mine. He'd noticed. Of course he had. I turned my face away. What are you doing here? You were shot. Taejun said it like I might have forgotten. I'm fine now. Ahini, you should go. Fine. Seungho's voice dropped. You died twice in surgery. The room tilted. What? Twice, he repeated. Dr. Kapoor brought you back both times? His hand was on my wrist now, fingers pressed against my pulse point. So no, you're not fine. I pulled my arm away. He let me. That was almost worse. You shouldn't be here, I said. Quieter. We agreed. You stay away from the hospital. From my work. From this part of my life. Your work? Taejun's laugh was sharp. Mean. Your work left you to bleed out on their floor? It was an emergency. They had to prioritize. They prioritized donors. Seungho cut me off. Rich families. VIPs. While you were dying. I didn't have an answer for that. The memory was too fresh. Too real. Watching people step over me. Watching them choose. Taejun pulled something from his pocket. Or a tablet. He tapped the screen twice and turned it toward me. Security footage. Black and white. Timestamp. 3:44 a.m. I watched myself get shot. Watched myself fall. Watched the blood spread. Watched Officer Jenkins look right at me and keep running. Watched Dr. Chen direct people toward the exit, her back to my body. Watched a nurse I'd trained last year step over my arm without breaking stride. Turn it off, I whispered. Taejun didn't. The footage kept playing. 18 people. 12 of them passed me. Not one stopped. My throat closed. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. Seungho took the tablet and shut it off. He set it on the table. Every single one of them is gone. I looked at him. What? Gone, Taejun repeated. Fired. Escorted out. We're still deciding what happens next. You can't, my voice cracked. Well, you can't do that. They were following evacuation protocols. You can't punish people for leaving you to die? Seungho's eyes were cold. Yes, we can. This is my job. My life. You promised you wouldn't interfere. Your life almost ended tonight. Taejun leaned closer. Close enough I could see the red in his eyes. From anger or exhaustion, I couldn't tell. The promise ended with it. No. I tried to sit up again. This time Seungho held me down, gentle but immovable. No, you don't get to decide that. This is exactly why I wanted separation. This is why I kept us hidden. Hidden? Taejun's jaw clenched. You hid us for 3 years. Wore suppressants every day. Never told a single person. And where did that get you? It got me a normal life. It almost got you killed. His voice rose. The first time I'd heard him yell in 3 years. Do you understand that? Do you understand we got the call and thought? He stopped, turned away, hand dragging through his hair. Seungho finished it. Quieter, steadier, somehow more devastating. We thought we were coming to identify your body. The words hit like a physical blow. I looked between them. Really looked. Saw the exhaustion in Seungho's face. The blood still on Taejun's cuff. The way they were both standing too close. Like they couldn't quite believe I was breathing. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean for... We know. Seungho's hand was on my face now. Thumb brushing my cheekbone. But it doesn't change anything. The hospital is ours now, Taejun said. Flat, final. We bought it. Building, staff, equipment, everything. My heart stopped. You what? Bought it. The board signed over ownership an hour ago. They wouldn't. You can't just... We can. He met my eyes. We did. I stared at him. At both of them. This is insane. You're insane. Probably. Seungho almost smiled. Almost. But you're alive. So I'll take insane. I don't want this. My voice broke. I don't want your protection or your money or your control. I wanted normal. I wanted... Normal almost killed you. Taejun straightened. We're done pretending. No more separation. No more hiding. No more watching you walk into danger every night while we sit back and honor some agreement that clearly didn't protect you. I didn't ask to be protected. You didn't have to. Seungho's hand slid down to my neck. To the mark. The one I'd kept hidden under collars and scarves and lies for 3 years. You're ours. You've always been ours. Tonight just made it public. The truth of it settled heavy in my chest. Everyone knew now. The secret was out. My quiet life, my independence, my carefully maintained separation, all of it gone. I hate you, I whispered. I know, Seungho said. Taejun turned back to me. We're moving you. Private facility, better security. I'm not going anywhere. Yes. His voice was soft, terrifying in its certainty. You are. The door opened. Two men in suits, not hospital staff, the twins people. We're ready, one of them said. Seungho was already disconnecting my IV. Taejun was moving the monitors. I tried to push them away. Too weak. The blood loss, the surgery, everything catching up at once. Don't fight, Seungho murmured. You'll tear your stitches. Let me go. Never again. Taejun's hand was in my hair, gentle, possessive. Nina, we let you go for 3 years. Look what happened. They lifted me, carried me. I didn't have the strength to stop them. The last thing I saw before they carried me out was the tablet on the bedside table, still showing that frozen image. Me on the floor, alone, abandoned. The door closed behind us. Taejun had me cradled against his chest, one arm under my knees, the other supporting my back. I could feel his heartbeat through his shirt. Fast. Too fast for someone who looked that calm. Seungho walked ahead, clearing the path. Staff scattered when they saw him coming. Smart. Put me down, I said. My voice came out weaker than I wanted. No. Taejun didn't even look at me. We passed through corridors I didn't recognize. Private wing, maybe. Everything too clean, too quiet, too expensive to be the public hospital I knew. Then I heard it. Seungho's phone. Ringing. He answered without stopping. Talk. A voice on the other end. Male. Clipped. Professional. I couldn't make out the words, but I felt Seungho's entire body go rigid. When? Pause. How many? Another pause. Handle it. I want names in an hour. He hung up. Taejun's grip on me tightened. How bad? 3 warehouses. The accounts are frozen. 5 dead. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did. I twisted in Taejun's arms to see his face. What is he talking about? Neither of them answered. We reached a private elevator. Seungho hit the button. The doors opened immediately. Tell me what's happening. My heart was racing now. What warehouses? What accounts? The elevator descended. Taejun finally met my eyes. The hospital attack wasn't random, he said, flat, emotionless. It was a distraction. My stomach dropped. What? Someone wanted us at that hospital. Seungho turned to face me. While we were there, they hit our operations. Simultaneously, coordinated. I stared at him, at both of them. Ari, that's not... How would they know you'd come? The silence that followed was worse than any answer. Then it clicked. They knew, I whispered. They knew about me. Yes. Taejun's voice was ice. But no one. I never told anyone. I was careful. The ring, the mark. I kept everything hidden. Someone found out anyway. Seungho's jaw clenched. Someone's been watching, gathering information, waiting for the right moment. The elevator stopped. Doors opened to an underground garage. Black SUVs waiting, engines running. Taejun carried me to the middle vehicle. Seungho opened the door. Wait! I pushed against Taejun's chest. Wait, if they knew about me, if they used me to... The guilt hit like a fist to the chest. 5 people died because of me. No. Taejun's eyes burned into mine. 5 people died because our enemies are ruthless, and we weren't prepared. Not because of you. But if I hadn't insisted on hiding, if you'd been visible from the start, they would have targeted you differently. Seungho cut me off. Directly, violently. At least this way you're alive. He said it like that made it better. Taejun set me in the back seat, carefully, like I might shatter. Then he slid in next to me, blocking any escape. Seungho took the front passenger seat. The vehicle moved. I stared out the window, watching the city blur past. My city. The one I'd worked in for 3 years, thinking I was safe, thinking distance and secrets would protect everyone. Where are we going? I asked. Somewhere secure. Taejun, that's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now. I turned on him. Wait, you can't just... Yes, I can. His voice dropped. Dangerous. Someone used you to hurt us. Used the fact that we stayed away, that we respected your boundaries, that we let you live separately. They weaponized our restraint. So what? You're going to lock me up? Keep me prisoner? We're going to keep you alive. Seungho said it without turning around. Whether you cooperate or not. Rage flared hot in my chest. This is exactly why I wanted separation. This. You can't just make decisions for me. You almost died making your own decisions. Taejun's hand was on my jaw now, forcing me to look at him. Forgive me if I'm done watching. His scent wrapped around me. Cedar and smoke, strong enough to make my head swim. The suppressant was completely out of my system now. Nothing blocking the bond. My body responded. Heat, want. The pull toward him so strong it hurt. I hated it. Hated that even furious, even violated and betrayed and terrified, I still wanted to lean into him. He saw it. I watched his pupils dilate, his breathing change. Don't, I said. His thumb brushed my lower lip. Don't what? Don't use this against me. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, maybe. Then it was gone, replaced by that cold mask he wore so well. He let me go. I turned back to the window, arms wrapped around myself. The wound in my shoulder throbbed. Everything throbbed. I didn't ask for this, I said quietly. Any of this. Neither did we. Seungho's voice was softer now. But here we are. We drove in silence for a while. 10 minutes, 20. I lost track. Then Seungho's phone rang again. He looked at the screen, answered. What? A pause. I watched his spine go stiff. When? Another pause. Send it to me. He hung up, pulled up something on his phone, stared at it. Then he turned and handed the phone to Taejun. I saw Taejun's face change, saw the rage flash there, bright and lethal, before he buried it. What? I demanded. What is it? Taejun looked at me, then at the phone, then back at me. Show me, I said. He hesitated. Seungho nodded once. Taejun turned the phone toward me. It was a photo. Dark, grainy, security footage maybe. Me, being carried out of the hospital. Taejun's arms around me. Timestamp at the bottom, 5:47 a.m., less than an hour ago. My blood went cold. They sent this? My voice came out shaky. 2 minutes ago. Seungho. I stared at the image. At myself, unconscious and bleeding, being carried to safety. Someone had been there. Watching. Close enough to take this photo. Close enough to... They were right there, I whispered. They watched you take me. They could have, but they didn't. Taejun's hand closed over mine. That's the point. They're not trying to kill you. Not yet. Then what do they want? The brothers exchanged a look. The kind of silent communication that came from being twins, from knowing each other too well. They want us to know they can reach you whenever they choose, Seungho said. That hiding you doesn't work. That we're vulnerable. And they're right. Taejun's grip tightened on my hand. As long as you're separate from us, as long as you're not visibly, undeniably ours, you're a target they can exploit. I pulled my hand away. So your solution is what? Parade me around? Make me bait? Our solution is making you untouchable. Seungho turned fully to face me now. No more hiding. No more pretending we're not bound. Everyone needs to know. Touching you means war. I don't want that. My throat was tight. I don't want to be some symbol, some declaration. You already are. Taejun's voice was gentle, devastating. The only question is whether you're a secret weakness or a visible warning. I looked between them, at the phone still showing that photo, at the city passing outside the window, full of people who had no idea what kind of danger I was in, what kind of danger I'd brought to them. This is insane, and I said, yes, Seungho agreed, but you're alive, and we plan to keep it that way. The vehicle slowed. We were pulling into somewhere. Underground. Concrete and shadows and men with guns. Where are we here, I asked. Home, Taejun said. I'd never been to their home. 3 years married, and I'd never once crossed that threshold. It was part of the agreement, part of the separation. The door opened. Taejun stepped out first, then turned back for me. I didn't take his hand. He reached in and lifted me out anyway. I can walk, I protested. Not well enough. He carried me toward an elevator. Private, secure, the kind that required fingerprint and retinal scan. Seungho opened it. We stepped inside. The doors closed. And I realized, standing there between them, that the distance I'd fought so hard to maintain had just collapsed completely. They had me now, in their space, in their world. And whoever was hunting me knew exactly where to find us. I'd never seen where they lived. 3 years married, and this was the first time I'd crossed their threshold. The penthouse wasn't what I'd expected. No cold steel or intimidation. Just books and worn leather and a kitchen that looked actually used. It looked like a home I'd never been part of. Taejun sat across from me, pretending to read his tablet. Seungho stood by the window, both of them watching me like I might vanish. The fundraiser, Seungho said suddenly. Do you remember? I looked up. Yes. You told off that donor. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. So politely he didn't even realize he'd been destroyed. You both laughed. We couldn't help it. Taejun set the tablet aside. Then you looked at us and... He didn't finish. Didn't need to. The bond had hit like lightning. Instant. Terrifying. I'd felt it in my bones, in my blood, in every breath. My whole body had screamed at me to get closer to them. I'd run instead. Hid in a supply closet for 2 hours, shaking, trying to understand what was happening to me. They'd waited. I never came back. I was scared, I said quietly. Seungho moved closer, sat beside me. Of us? Of how much I wanted you, both of you. The admission hurt. It was too strong, too fast. I'd come back a week later to return the check they'd left me. $50,000 I didn't want to owe them. They'd taken me to dinner instead, and I'd spent the entire night interrogating them, asking questions I needed answered before I let myself fall. What kind of alphas were they? What did they expect from an Omega? Would they try to control me? They'd told me about their mother, about how their father had used her bond like a leash, breaking her down until there was nothing left. We swore we'd never do that, Taejun said now, as if reading my thoughts. When you gave us your terms, the terms were insane. I looked away. The terms were yours. Seungho's hand found mine. That made them sacred. Separate lives, separate homes, monthly dinners only. No scenting, no claiming, nothing real. Just enough to keep the legal bond intact. I'd thought I was protecting myself, protecting them, keeping enough distance that the bond couldn't consume me the way I'd watched it consume my mother. She'd been Omega too, bonded young to a traditional alpha who believed Omegas existed to serve. I'd watched her disappear piece by piece, her laugh, her smile, her voice. By the time I was 10, she was just this hollow thing that obeyed. When she died, he'd remarried within 6 months. I'd watched it happen again to someone else. So when our bond hit, when it felt like drowning and flying at the same time, I'd panicked, built walls, made rules. The twins had agreed to everything without hesitation. 3 years, Taejun said softly. 3 years of monthly dinners where you smiled and talked about work and nothing that mattered. 3 years of watching you leave, Seungho added, his voice rough, and not being able to follow. Guilt twisted in my chest. I thought, we know what you thought. Taejun moved to my other side, both of them close now. And we understood, but it broke us anyway. Then why didn't you say something? Because we promised. Seungho's grip tightened on my hand. We promised to give you space, and to never push, to let you set every boundary. We'd rather break than become the kind of alphas who force, Taejun said. I looked between them, saw the exhaustion, the longing, 3 years of wanting and waiting and holding back. The attack, I whispered. Is that really why? No. Seungho cut me off. The attack was just the excuse. We've wanted you here, really here, since the beginning. We want to know you. Taejun's voice cracked. Not just surface things. Everything. What you think about at 3 in the morning. What makes you laugh? What scares you besides us? We don't know anything, Seungho said. And it's killing us. My throat closed. They were right. They didn't know my favorite color or how I took my coffee or what I did on my days off. I'd given them nothing but distance and polite conversation for 3 years. One, I don't know how, I admitted. How to let you in without disappearing? Taejun's hand cupped my face. We'll figure it out. Together. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken? You're not broken. Seungho's forehead pressed against mine. You're scared. There's a difference. We're scared too, Taejun added quietly. That you'll keep us out forever. That we'll spend the rest of our lives married to someone we're not allowed to know. Something in my chest cracked. They looked so tired, so vulnerable. These ruthless alphas who controlled half the city, terrified of the one person they couldn't command. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be sorry. Seungho's voice was fierce. Just let us try, please. I opened my mouth to answer. A sharp knock cut through the moment. Sir! The bodyguard's voice, urgent. Art, we have a situation. Both twins stood. Seungho took the phone offered through the door. His face went cold. He turned the screen toward me without a word. My apartment building, flames climbing into the night sky. Everything I'd left behind was burning. My apartment was burning. I stared at the screen, watching flames devour everything I owned. Everything I'd built. My books, my clothes, the small life I'd carved out that was mine alone. Gone. I need to go back. My voice sounded strange, hollow. No. Taejun didn't even look up from his phone. My things are there. I have to check. There's nothing left to check. Seungho's tone was flat, final. Panic clawed up my throat. You don't know that. Some of it might be salvageable. I need to see. You need to stay here. Taejun finally looked at me. Where it's safe. Safe? A bitter laugh escaped. My apartment just burned down and you're talking about safe? Which is exactly why you're not going anywhere. Seungho crossed his arms. We don't know where the attacks are coming from yet, as we don't know who's targeting us or why. Then find out, frustration boiled over. Do something instead of just standing here telling me no. We are doing something, Taejun said, his voice tight. We're keeping you alive. By locking me up? By keeping me prisoner? By keeping you breathing. He stepped closer. That building could still be surrounded. Whoever set that fire could be waiting to see if you show up. So you're just going to let them destroy everything I have? Everything that's mine? Things can be replaced, Seungho said. That's easy for you to say. My voice cracked. You didn't just lose everything. You're standing in your home, surrounded by your things. Your life. Our home, Taejun corrected. You're our husband. This is your home, too. No, the word came out harsh. This is your home. I've never even been here before tonight. I don't belong here. I belong. I stopped. Because where did I belong now? My apartment was ash. My hospital didn't want me back. My carefully constructed separate life had just gone up in flames. You belong with us, Seungho said quietly. You always have. I don't want to belong to anyone. The truth spilled out. I just want my life back. Silence fell, heavy, suffocating. Taejun's expression hardened. Your life almost got you killed. And your life just burned mine to the ground. We didn't set that fire. But it's your enemies who did, I was yelling now. Couldn't stop. Your world, your violence, your mess that I'm drowning in. You married us, Taejun said, voice cold now. You knew what we were. I knew, I just thought I could keep it separate. Or thought I could have the bond without the danger. How stupid was that? Neither of them answered. I want to go to my apartment, I said again. Quieter now, desperate. Please, I need to see it. Need to know what's left. Nothing's left. Seungho's jaw clenched. The whole floor is gone. Fire department said it was accelerant. Professional job. Designed to destroy everything. The words hit like a punch. Whole floor. Everything. Then I need. My hands were shaking. I need to do something. I can't just sit here while. While what? Taejun asked. While we figure out who's trying to kill you? While we track down whoever leaked your identity? While we try to keep you alive long enough to. To what? I cut him off. To finally claim me properly? To parade me around as yours? Is that what this is about? His eyes flashed. And dangerous. You think this is about possession? Isn't it? You've been waiting 3 years for an excuse to end the separation. Now you have one. The excuse, Seungho said, voice deadly quiet, is that someone tried to murder you. Twice. In one night. And you still can't figure out who. The accusation exploded out before I could stop it. You're supposed to be the ruthless Chae twins. Everyone in this city is terrified of you. You run half the underworld. You claim you'll protect me, keep me safe. I saw their faces change, saw the exact moment my words registered. But you can't even find out who's attacking us? The silence that crashed down was absolute. Taejun's expression went blank. The kind of blank that meant rage so deep it couldn't show on the surface. Seungho's hands curled into fists at his sides. Oh, God. Hey, what had I just said? I'd questioned them, challenged their capability, insulted them in their own home. Fear sliced through the anger. These weren't just my husbands. They were two of the most dangerous men in the city. And I'd just belittled them. I'm sorry, the words tumbled out. I didn't mean... That came out wrong. Did it? Taejun's voice was ice. I'm sorry, I'm scared and angry, and I'm taking it out on you, and I shouldn't. I'm sorry. Neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. The fear kicked harder. I'd crossed a line. Said something I couldn't take back. I'm sorry, I said again, backing toward the hallway. I didn't mean it. I know you're doing everything you can. I'm sorry. Still nothing. Just those cold, furious eyes tracking my every movement. I turned and ran, down the hall, away from them, away from the anger I'd caused and the fear choking me. I grabbed the first door I found and shoved through it, slammed it shut behind me and leaned against it, heart hammering so hard it hurt. A bedroom, large, expensive, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the glittering city below. I waited for them to follow, to demand I come out, to assert their dominance the way any alpha would after being challenged. They didn't. The silence outside the door was worse than yelling would have been. I slid down to the floor, wrapped my arms around my knees. What was wrong with me? They'd just opened up, been vulnerable, shared things they'd never told anyone. And the second things got hard, I'd thrown it back in their faces, just like my father used to do to my mother. Lash out when scared, hurt the people trying to help. I was becoming him. When the thought made me sick, I forced myself to stand, crossed to the bed and collapsed onto it, stared at the ceiling. My apartment was gone. My job was complicated. My marriage was a disaster. And I just insulted the only two people standing between me and whoever wanted me dead. I squeezed my eyes shut, tried to breathe, tried to think. The twins were giving me space, letting me calm down. That was good. That meant they weren't. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. Didn't have the energy for whatever crisis was coming next. It buzzed again, insistent. I pulled it from my pocket, checked the screen. Unknown number. My thumb hovered over the delete button. Unknown numbers meant spam, scams, nothing I needed to deal with right now. But something made me open it anyway. The message was short. One sentence. So are you ready for my next gift? I stared at the words, read them again. Gift. My apartment burning wasn't random, wasn't just collateral damage. It was a gift. From whoever was doing this, my hands started shaking. The phone felt like it was burning, like the fire from my apartment had somehow transferred through the screen. Next gift, which meant they weren't done, which meant something else was coming. I sat up slowly, stared at the message. They had my number. They knew where I'd lived. They knew about the twins. They knew everything. And they were planning something else. I should tell Taejun and Seungho. Show them the message, let them handle it. But I'd just run from them, just insulted them, just questioned their ability to protect me. How could I go crawling back now? My heart hammered. My shoulder throbbed. The message glowed on the screen. Are you ready for my next gift? No, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for any of this. But ready or not, it was coming. I had to show them the message. I wiped my face, pushed off the bed, and opened the door. The main room spread out before me, empty and silent. Taejun, I called out. Seungho? No response, just the quiet hum of the city beyond the windows, and my own breathing echoing back at me. I walked through the space, checking the kitchen, then the study, then back to the living area where they'd been standing just minutes ago. They were nowhere. The penthouse felt hollow without them, like all the air had been sucked out. My chest tightened. Where would they have gone without telling me? Hello? I tried again, louder this time. The silence pressed down on me. I headed for the front door. Maybe they'd stepped into the hallway to coordinate with security about the fire. Maybe they were just outside. I grabbed the handle and pulled hard. The door opened barely an inch before it hit something solid. A guard's face appeared in the narrow gap, his expression carved from stone. Massive shoulders blocked the exit completely. Let me out, I said. Can't do that, sir. I need to find Taejun and Seungho. They're not here. His tone offered no room for negotiation. I can see that. That's why I need to leave and find them. Can't let you do that. I have my orders. Whose orders? My voice rose despite myself. The guard's jaw shifted slightly, the only sign of hesitation. Then he straightened. The twins left a message for you, sir. Everything in me went cold. What message? His voice was flat, professional, delivering words that cut like glass. They said to tell you, we want to show you how competent we are. The words hit me square in the chest, knocking the air from my lungs. They'd left. Actually left. Gone out into the city to prove themselves because I'd stood in this room and questioned their ability to protect me. Because I'd thrown their efforts back in their faces like they meant nothing. When did they leave? My voice sounded strange to my own ears. About 10 minutes ago. Where did they go? Can't say, sir. Can't or won't. Both. He stepped back, and the door closed with a solid thunk that felt like a cell door slamming shut. I stood there staring at the wood grain, at the barrier keeping me trapped while they were out there doing something dangerous, something reckless, because of me. I yanked my phone out and pulled up Taejun's number with shaking fingers, hit call and pressed the phone to my ear so hard it hurt. It rang 4 times, 5, 6. And then his voicemail kicked in, that familiar recording telling me to leave a message. I hung up and immediately called Seungho. The same endless ringing filled my ear, each tone stretching my nerves tighter until finally his voicemail picked up too. No, please, no. I tried Taejun again, pacing now, unable to stand still. Straight to voicemail after 6 rings. I called Seungho, same result. My hands trembled as I alternated between their numbers, calling over and over like if I just tried enough times, one of them would answer. One of them would pick up and tell me they were fine, that they were coming back, that I hadn't just sent them into danger with my cruel words. But neither of them answered. I must have called a dozen times, maybe more, listening to those rings stretch into nothing over and over again. This was my fault. Swear every bit of it. I'd pushed them away when they'd been vulnerable with me. I'd insulted them in their own home, questioned the one thing they'd built their entire lives on, and now they were out there trying to prove something they should never have had to prove. I stopped pacing and stared at my phone, at the 2 names I kept calling that wouldn't respond. There was only one option left, the unknown number, the person who'd sent that message asking if I was ready for their next gift. My thumb hovered over the message thread. Should I reach out, try to find out what they wanted? Maybe I could negotiate, offer myself in exchange for leaving the twins alone. Before I could make the decision, the phone buzzed in my hand. New message, same unknown number. My heart lurched into my throat, and I opened it and watched as a photo loaded slowly, the image materializing line by line on my screen. When it finally came into focus, the world tilted sideways. Taejun and Seungho stood back to back in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Concrete walls stretched behind them, punctuated by broken windows. Fires burned in metal drums, casting everything in harsh orange light and deep shadows. They were surrounded by at least a dozen men arranged in a loose circle. Every single one was armed, guns pointed at the twins from every direction. The twins looked calm, almost eerily so, but they were outnumbered, badly outnumbered. Text appeared below the image, casual and cruel. I guess the Ruthless twins are going down now. My fingers went numb. The phone nearly slipped from my grip, but I caught it, while clutching it so hard the case creaked. They were going to die. The twins were going to die because I'd made them feel like they had to prove themselves to me, because I couldn't keep my fear and anger under control for 5 minutes. I didn't think. Just hit the call button on the unknown number and pressed the phone to my ear. It rang once, twice. Someone picked up. "Who are you?" The words came out in a rush. "What do you want? Please, whatever this is about, don't touch them. It's me you want, right? So leave them alone. I'll do anything you want, just don't hurt them." Silence filled the line. Just the sound of breathing on the other end. Then a laugh, low and cold and sickeningly familiar. The kind of laugh I'd spent years trying to forget. "You always were too soft." The voice was calm, measured. He acts like we were discussing the weather. "Even as a child, you bled your heart out for people who didn't deserve it." The phone felt like ice against my ear. That voice. I knew that voice. Still choosing the wrong people to care about, I see. A pause, deliberate and cruel. "Hello, son." My knees buckled. I caught myself on the back of the couch, the phone trembling against my ear. My father. The person orchestrating everything. The hospital attack, the fire, the threats, all of it was my father. My father's voice was still in my ear. "Hello, son." The words echoed in my skull, and for a moment I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process that the person orchestrating all of this, the hospital attack, the fire, the threats, was the same man who'd broken my mother piece by piece until there was nothing left. "Surprised?" He sounded amused. "You shouldn't be. You know I don't let go of what's mine." "I'm not yours." The words came out strangled. "You were born mine, raised mine. You carry my name, my blood." His voice hardened. "The fact that you ran doesn't change that." "I didn't run. I left. There's a difference. You made a vow." Each word was precise, cutting. "You stood in my house and swore you'd never bond with an alpha, that you'd learn from your mother's mistakes, and that you were better than that." The memory hit like a fist. I'd been 19, fresh out of my mother's funeral, standing in his study while he lectured me about weakness and bonds and the proper order of things. I'd sworn it, meant it with everything in me. Never an alpha, never a bond, never the cage my mother had died in. "I remember," I whispered. "Do you?" His laugh was cold. "Because 3 years ago you did exactly what you swore you'd never do. You bonded. You married, not one alpha, but two." My stomach dropped. 3 years. He'd known for that long. "I had someone watching you, of course, making sure you were safe in that little independent life you'd built." The words dripped with contempt. Imagine my shock when I discovered the truth. My son, the one who despised everything I stood for, he had become exactly what he claimed to hate. "The twins aren't like you. They're alphas. That makes them exactly like me." A pause. "But you know what hurt the most, Johann? It wasn't the bond. It wasn't even the hypocrisy." I didn't want to ask, didn't want to hear it. He told me anyway. "It was seeing you thrive, seeing you happy, working as a nurse, saving lives, flourishing in your little marriage." His voice turned venomous. "You rejected me, looked at everything I offered and called it poison. But you gave yourself to them, chose them. That's what I couldn't forgive." The truth settled like ice in my chest. This wasn't about the twins. It wasn't about their business or their enemies. This was about his ego, his pride, his need to punish me for the crime of choosing someone else. "So you attacked the hospital." "We attacked the twins," I said. "Burned my apartment. All to hurt me? All to show you the truth." His tone was almost gentle now, almost fatherly. "Those twins you think are so different from me? They're not. They're violent, ruthless. They've built their empire on blood and fear. I know what they are." "Do you?" "Because I used my networks tonight, Johann. Called in every favor, pulled every string. I hit them where it hurt, took out their operations one by one while they were busy trying to protect you." My blood went cold. "What did you do?" "What they deserved. Warehouses burned, Accounts frozen, personnel eliminated. I spent the last 4 hours systematically destroying everything they built. He paused, letting it sink in. They're coming back to you now, but they're not the same men who left. I've taken half their empire, and they know it. Half their empire, gone, because of me. But here's the beautiful part, my father continued, the part I've been waiting for. When they get home and realize the truth, when they understand that all of this, every attack, every loss, every drop of blood, happened because of you and me, what do you think will happen? I couldn't speak, could barely hold the phone. Their alpha venom will rise, son. That's what alphas do when they're hurt, when they're threatened. They don't comfort. They don't forgive. They control. They dominate. They break what they can't possess. No, the word came out weak. Yes. His voice was certain, satisfied. You'll suffer the same fate you tried to run from, the same fate your mother suffered. You'll become exactly what she was, hollow and obedient, until there's nothing left but the bond. They're not like you, I said again, desperate. Every alpha is like me when pushed far enough, and I just push them as far as they can go. He paused. I'll be watching, Johan, watching as they prove me right, watching as you finally understand that you should have stayed where you belonged. The line went dead. The phone slipped from my hand, hitting the floor with a crack. I stood there, legs shaking, trying to process what had just happened. My father had orchestrated everything, every attack, every fire, every moment of terror, and he'd done it to prove a point, to break me the way he'd broken my mother, to show me that all alphas were the same in the end. Hours crawled by. I don't know how many. I sat on the couch, then paced, then sat again. Every sound from the hallway made me jump. Every creak of the building sent my heart racing. They were coming back, bloodied and broken and diminished, and they'd know the truth, that I was the reason, me and my father. Our family's poison had infected their lives and cost them everything. My father's words played on repeat in my head. Their alpha venom will rise. You'll suffer the same fate, just like your mother. I tried to tell myself he was wrong, that the twins were different, that they'd proven it over 3 years of respecting my boundaries, of giving me space, of never forcing anything. But what if he was right? What if losing half their empire was the breaking point? What if the twins I'd seen vulnerable and honest earlier tonight were gone, replaced by the ruthless alphas everyone else feared? What if I just traded one cage for another? A sound at the door made me freeze. The electronic lock beeped. The handle turned. They were here. I stood without meaning to, every muscle in my body going tight. The door opened. Taejun came through first, and my breath caught. Blood, so much blood, smeared across his face, his neck, soaked into his shirt. His jacket was torn, hanging off one shoulder, a cut above his eye still bleeding sluggishly. Seungho followed, looking just as destroyed. His knuckles were raw and split. More blood on his clothes, his jaw, a dark bruise blooming across his cheekbone. They'd been through hell. Both of them looked at me, and I saw it immediately. The rage, still burning in their eyes, still radiating off them in waves. This was the violence they'd used out there. The alpha energy they'd unleashed to fight my father's people. And it was still pouring off them, filling the room, making the air feel too thick to breathe. They didn't speak, just started walking toward me, slow, deliberate, like predators closing in. My father's voice echoed in my head. Their alpha venom will rise. I took a step back. They kept coming. Another step. My back hit the wall. They were still moving toward me, blood-covered and radiating that dark alpha energy that made every instinct I had scream danger. This was it. This was the moment my father had promised. The moment they stopped being the men who'd held me gently and became the alphas who would break me. The moment I became my mother. I pressed harder against the wall, but there was nowhere left to go, no escape, no distance left to maintain. Just them. Closing in, eyes dark and burning with something I couldn't read through my terror. Are you hurt? Taejun's voice cut through my terror, rough and exhausted but not angry. I stared at him, at both of them. That wasn't what I'd expected. That wasn't what my father had promised would happen. Are you hurt? He asked again, and this time his hand came up slowly, reaching for me. I flinched. He stopped immediately, hand frozen in the air between us. Seungho moved closer, careful and deliberate. His hands found my shoulders, turning me gently to check for injuries. His fingers were bloody, but his touch was soft, searching for wounds I didn't have. I'm fine, I managed. I wasn't hurt. Good. Seungho's hands kept moving, checking my arms, my sides, like he needed to confirm it for himself. That's good. I didn't understand. They were covered in blood. They'd lost half their empire. They knew my father was behind everything, and they were asking if I was hurt. It's my fault. The words burst out of me. All of it. My father, he did this because of me. Because I married you. Because I chose you over him. He wanted to punish me, and he used you to do it, and I'm so sorry. I'm so... Stop. Taejun's voice was firm but not harsh. We know. We found out during the fight. Seungho's hands stilled on my arms. Your father made sure we knew. Made sure we understood exactly why he was destroying everything we'd built. My stomach dropped. Then you know it's my fault. You know I brought this to you. We don't care whose father did this. Taejun cut me off. I stared at him. How can you not care? You lost. He destroyed. We care that you're safe. Seungho's grip tightened slightly on my arms. And that's all that matters. But your empire can be rebuilt. Taejun stepped closer. We've lost things before. Territory, operations, people. We know how to rebuild. We don't know how to lose you, Seungho finished quietly. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. They'd lost half of everything because of me, and they were standing here worried about whether I was hurt. You should hate me, I whispered. You should be furious. My father, your father is a man who can't accept that you made your own choice. Taejun's eyes locked on mine. That's not your fault. That's his. But I brought him into your lives. If I hadn't married you, if I just stayed away, then we would have spent our whole lives without you. Seungho's voice was raw. And that would have been the real loss. I shook my head. When this wasn't how it was supposed to go. My father had been so certain, so sure that when they found out, when they realized the truth, their alpha instincts would take over, and they'd break me the way he'd broken my mother. But they weren't breaking me. They were standing here exhausted and bleeding, and telling me I mattered more than their empire. I don't understand, I said. What don't you understand? Taejun asked. Why you're not angry? Why you're not... I gestured helplessly at them, at me, at the space between us. My father said you'd turn on me, that your alpha venom would rise, and you'd make me suffer the same fate my mother did. Something flickered across both their faces. Pain, raw and immediate. Is that what you were waiting for? Seungho's voice was barely above a whisper. When we walked through that door, I couldn't look at him. Yes. You thought we'd hurt you. Taejun said it like a statement, not a question. I thought you'd become like him, like my father. I thought losing everything would make you... My voice broke. Would make you want to control me, break me, own me. The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. Then Seungho's hands slid from my arms to cup my face, gentle and careful, despite the blood still on his skin. We were terrified, he said, the whole way back here. We were terrified you'd believe that you'd think we were capable of what your father did to your mother. We're not him, Taejun added, his hand finding mine. We'll never be him. But you're alphas. The argument felt weak even as I said it. When you're hurt, when you're threatened, we protect what matters. Seungho's thumb brushed my cheekbone. And what matters is you, not territory, not operations. You. We'd burn the rest of the empire ourselves if it meant keeping you safe, Taejun said. I looked between them, seeing the exhaustion in their faces, the pain, the blood. They'd been through hell tonight, lost so much, and they were still here, still gentle, still choosing me over everything else. My father had been wrong. He'd been so sure that all alphas were the same, that push them hard enough and they'd all break the same way, control the same way, destroy the same way. But these two men standing in front of me, bloodied and broken and diminished, were proving him wrong with every careful touch, every soft word. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm sorry I believed him. I'm sorry I thought you'd—" "Don't apologize for being scared." Taejun's hand squeezed mine. "Don't apologize for protecting yourself. We just need you to know," Seungho said, "that we're not your father. We're not your fear. We're just us, and we choose you. Every time, even when it costs us everything." The weight of their words settled in my chest, heavy and warm and terrifying in a completely different way. They meant it. I could see it in their eyes, feel it in their touch. They really would choose me over their empire. "We need to leave," Taejun said after a moment. "Disappear for a while. Your father destroyed half our operations, but the other half is vulnerable now. We need to go underground, rebuild in secret before our other enemies see the weakness and strike." "How long?" I asked. "Months. Arab, maybe longer." Seungho's hands dropped from my face. "We'll be constantly moving, hiding. It won't be safe. It won't be comfortable." "And you have a choice," Taejun continued. "You can come with us. Stay by our side through all of it. Or we can hide you somewhere separate, somewhere safe and comfortable where you can wait until it's over." I looked at him. "You'd let me stay separate?" "If that's what you need." His voice was steady despite the pain I could see in his eyes. "We'll give you whatever you need, even if it's distance." "We just need to know," Seungho added. "What do you want?" What did I want? I'd spent 3 years maintaining distance, building walls, keeping them at arm's length because I was terrified of becoming my mother, terrified of losing myself to the bond. But standing here now, looking at them, I realized something. My mother never had a choice. My father had claimed her, controlled her, broken her down until there was nothing left but obedience. But these two men were asking me what I wanted, offering me distance even when it would hurt them, giving me the one thing my mother never had, the power to choose. I want— I stopped, started again. I've been so afraid of becoming her, of disappearing into the bond the way she did. I thought distance was the only way to stay myself. They waited, letting me work through it. But she didn't disappear because of the bond, I continued slowly. She disappeared because my father never gave her a choice. He took everything from her voice, her will, herself. "And we never will," Taejun said quietly. "I know. And I did. Finally, after everything. I know you won't." "So what do you want?" Seungho asked again. I looked at them. Really looked. At the blood and exhaustion and pain. At the men who lost half their empire and were still asking me what I needed. At the choice my mother never got to make. "I want to come with you." The words felt like stepping off a cliff. No more separation. No more distance. I choose this. I choose you. Both of you, fully. Something shifted in both their faces. Relief, joy, love. Taejun pulled me forward into his arms, careful of my shoulder. Seungho pressed against my back, wrapping around both of us. For the first time in 3 years, I let myself sink into them completely. No walls, no fear, no distance. Just the choice I was making. The bond I was accepting, not as a cage, but as home. 4 months underground changed everything. We moved constantly. Different cities, different safe houses, never staying anywhere longer than a week. I learned to pack light, to sleep with one eye open, to recognize the difference between footsteps that meant safety and footsteps that meant run. I saw their world up close, not the sanitized version from our monthly dinners, but the real thing, the violence, the strategy, the ruthless decisions that kept their people alive and their enemies buried. I watched Taejun interrogate a man who'd betrayed them, watched him stay calm and controlled while the man broke down and confessed everything. No raised voice, no visible anger, just cold, efficient questioning that got exactly what he needed. I watched Seungho plan an operation to reclaim one of their lost warehouses. He watched him move pieces on a map like chess, calculating risks and casualties with the same precision I used to calculate medication dosages. They were terrifying, both of them. But I also saw how they protected their people, how they made sure every person who worked for them had food, shelter, medical care, how they remembered names and families, how loyalty flowed both ways. I worked in underground clinics, treating gunshot wounds and knife injuries and broken bones. The people who came through knew who I was, the twins' mate, the Omega who'd chosen to stay. They treated me with respect, with care, like I mattered beyond just being a bond. And slowly, carefully, the bond itself deepened. Not through force or claiming or dominance, just through proximity, or through shared meals and quiet conversations and falling asleep together in whatever safe house we were using that week. Through choosing each other, every single day, the twins rebuilt their empire piece by piece. Every contact they called in, every favor they traded, every operation they reclaimed. I watched it happen in real time, watched them become stronger than they'd been before my father had torn them down. Finally, after 4 months of hiding and rebuilding and careful maneuvering, Taejun came into our current safe house with news. "We're ready," he said. I looked up from the medical supplies I was organizing. "Ready for what?" "To go back." Seungho appeared behind his brother. "Our empire is restored, stronger than before. It's time to reclaim our position publicly." My heart jumped. Going back meant being visible again. It meant facing the city that knew what had happened. Meant my father would know where to find us. "What about my father?" I asked. The twins exchanged a look. "We're dealing with him first," Taejun said. I set down the bandages I'd been counting. "Dealing with him how?" "Completely." Seungho's voice was flat, final. "You're going to kill him." It wasn't a question. "No." Taejun crossed to me. "Death would be mercy. We're doing something better." "We're taking everything from him," Seungho continued. "Every network he's built, every ally he's bought, every operation he runs. We're dismantling it all and leaving him with nothing." I looked between them. "That'll take time." "We have time." Taejun's hand found mine. "And we have resources now. We've spent 4 months rebuilding our empire. Now we use it." "He tried to break us," Seungho said. "Tried to prove that all alphas are the same, that we'd turn on you the moment things got hard." "We're going to prove him wrong," Taejun finished, "and make sure he never hurts anyone again." Over the next 2 weeks, I watched them mobilize. This wasn't the careful, quiet rebuilding I'd seen over the past months. This was the full force of the Chae Empire unleashed. Phone calls made in clipped, commanding tones. Orders given that people jumped to follow. Resources deployed with military precision. I saw the ruthless alphas everyone in the city feared. The men who'd built an empire on blood and strategy and unwavering control. They were terrifying, and they were doing it for me. Taejun handled the financial destruction. Every account my father controlled, frozen or emptied. Every investment liquidated, every asset seized or destroyed. Seungho handled the network. Every person my father had bought, turned or eliminated. Every ally given a choice between the Chae twins and a man who was already falling. Every operation shut down or absorbed. I watched it happen through reports and phone calls and terse updates. Watched my father's empire crumble piece by piece, exactly the way he tried to do to theirs. It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks to reduce a man who'd controlled half the city's underground to nothing. The twins came back on a Tuesday night. I was in our current safe house, reading a medical journal, when they walked through the door. "It's done," Taejun said. I set the journal down. "All of it?" "Every piece." Seungho crossed to sit beside me. "His networks are gone. His money is gone. His people have either joined us or scattered." "And him?" I asked quietly. "Alive." Taejun poured himself a drink. "Powerless. Broken. We made sure he understood exactly what happened and why. Then we handed him over to the authorities," Seungho continued, "with enough evidence of his crimes to put him away for the rest of his life." I processed that. My father, the man who'd controlled my entire childhood, who'd broken my mother, who'd tried to break me, gone. Not dead, but destroyed in every way that mattered. "How do you feel?" Taejun asked. I didn't know. Relief, grief, freedom, loss, all of it tangled together until I couldn't separate one emotion from another. "I feel like I can breathe," I said finally. Seungho's hand found mine. "Good. What happens now?" I asked. Now we go home. Taejun finished his drink. We the Chae twins are back, publicly, visibly, and so are you. My stomach flipped. Everyone will know about me. Everyone will know you're ours, Seungho corrected, that you're untouchable, that hurting you means war. No more hiding, Taejun added. No more separation. You wanted to be a nurse? You'll be a nurse, but you'll do it as our mate, visible and protected. I looked between them, at these two men who'd lost everything and rebuilt it, who'd faced my father's cruelty and responded not with the violence he'd predicted, but with the choice he'd never expected them to offer, who'd proven that not all alphas were the same. Okay, I said, let's go home. We emerged from underground 2 days later. The city knew we were back within hours. The Chae twins returned and stronger than ever. Their empire rebuilt. Their power consolidated. And at their side, visible for the first time, their Omega mate. I went back to nursing, not at the hospital that had left me to bleed. Somewhere new, somewhere that knew exactly who I was and welcomed me anyway. I wore their marks proudly. No more suppressants, no more hiding under collars and scarves. Everyone who saw me knew I was bonded, claimed, protected, but also chose to be there, chose this life, chose them. The bond between us settled into something steady and sure. Not the terrifying consumption I'd feared, but a connection that made me stronger instead of smaller. I was still Johan, still a nurse, still myself, just not alone anymore. 3 months after we came back, I finished a late shift at the clinic, exhausted but satisfied. I'd saved 2 lives tonight, set 3 broken bones, talked a scared Omega through their first heat. I pushed through the clinic doors into the cool night air and stopped. Both of them were there, leaning against their car, waiting for me. Taejun smiled when he saw me. Seungho pushed off the car and crossed to take my bag. Long night, he asked. Good night, I corrected. We walked to the car together, through the city that knew our names, past people who recognized us and looked away quickly, respectfully. The Chae twins and their mate, ruthless, powerful, unbreakable. I slid into the back seat. Taejun drove. Seungho sat beside me, hand finding mine automatically. Home? Taejun asked, meeting my eyes in the rearview mirror. I looked at them, at the life we'd built together, at the choice I'd made and kept making every single day, at the bond I'd feared that had become my freedom instead of my cage. Home, I agreed. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. The end. If this story touched your heart, if Johan's journey from fear to freedom moved you, if you believed in the twins who chose love over empire, please hit that like button. It helps stories like this reach others who need to hear that healing is possible, that not all bonds are cages, and that choosing yourself doesn't mean choosing loneliness. Subscribe so you never miss another story where broken people find their way home, where Omegas aren't just claimed, they're cherished, where love isn't about possession, but about choice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Your support means everything.